Thank you for joining me for our edification. Man, you have no idea. You have no idea how excited I am about this particular interview because I'm joined by the great, one of my Lion brothers.
Speak on it, bro.
Mike, can you believe it's been over 35 years?
Bro. It's mind-boggling, really. It's
It is.
mind-boggling. When you say that number out loud, it's
Uh-huh.
like, wow. It feels like 5 years ago. It feels like
It does.
it's if I didn't have kids, I'd be like, that ain't the number, bro. That that's
Exactly.
the number, bro. Yeah, man.
Exactly. So
Long
you
time.
so so you know him as Mykel Shannon Jenkins. I know the dude is Mike. So I know him as Mike number 3, Spring
Yes, sir.
89.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Spring
Okay.
89. And actor, writer, director, Mykel Shannon Jenkins. My brother, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, man.
Truly a pleasure, brother. I was super excited when you reached out, and I was like, yeah, man, because I be popping in and out and checking you. I'm like, I like what you're doing, brother. And I always knew you would get around to the business of trying to make this world kind of a better place, which is
Mm.
kind of the same thing I'm trying to do it visually. And, I'm very proud of you to see you kind of launch off on your own thing. I've been watching you and your steps and how you're doing your thing. And you've always been just one of the brightest, most well-read brothers that I've ever had the pleasure of being in the company with. So I knew that the 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 amount of information you've processed and used. I've had the privilege of being in some situations where you've used it and was going to somehow end up benefiting this world greatly. So congratulations on your podcast and everything, brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. And
100.
you. So let me start with this. So I'm watching Gunner,
Yeah.
and there was a scene
Mhm.
where your character y'all had kidnapped a kid. You were in the forest, and you started to taunt the dad, right? Luke Hemsworth's character. And at one point, you were like, I can't remember the line exactly, but it was something to the effect of, "He's gonna be all right. We're gonna do what we need. He'll eat gluten free and all this stuff." And when you said that, I was like, that's Mike. That is Mike. That is like straight up Mike. So
Yeah.
there's that. I was talking to the brothers. I was talking to the brothers actually at Loyola where we were initiated,
Okay.
and I was like, "Yo, man, y'all need to check out your chapter brother's work." And he was just like, "Who are you talking about?" I said, "Mike Jenkins, man, you got to check out. Here's this movie that come out. It's called The Paper Tigers. You got to check this thing out." And they're like, "All right." I said, "Listen, let me tell you this. Before you watch this movie, just know this dude is basically playing himself in this movie." Man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But Gunner, I don't know what it was about you and Gunner. You took it to another level for that movie.
Thank you.
And Mike, I mean, your character has so much depth. I really loved what you did with the role. I love how you really countered Morgan Freeman.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, it was really, really something else. Like I told my wife, I was just like, "Yo, Mike did his thing. Like he did his thing in this movie."
Thank you.
Um, how did you feel? I mean, the first time you saw, or I want to ask two questions to kick this off. Being on the set, doing the work, but
Yeah.
then you see the finished product when it comes
Mm.
out. What are those two feelings?
Well, Morgan Freeman is one of the top 3 actors in the world to me.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
One of the reasons I thought maybe there was a place for me to do it was him and Sidney Poitier
Mm.
and of course Denzel. And so like when I got the opportunity to read across from him, um, I just felt like I just felt like he's from Mississippi. Like I just military background, like my dad. I just felt like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like something was gonna work, and I
But
took
that
him.
is crazy though to say that you have somebody who's one of your top 3 and you get to read across from them.
Well, I was in tears when the director called me after I sent my tape in. I was in tears, bro, because he's like, "You want to go to Alabama?" And I was like, "Not particularly, but if my man's is going there, I'm there." It's like plane tickets waiting for you. Go to the airport. So like I just thought to myself, rarely do you like write it up in in your in your world and like put all your energy toward things, and then without like just like just by just being yourself and staying true to the purpose of things, things kind of just line themselves up. And
Mhm.
I knew I was ready for that kind of engagement, and I took some chances with the piece. Like they gave me a good scene. They gave us the jail scene, and
Mm.
I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
about to play some carbon copy. I'm gonna try to. People think that black men. This is one of the things I'm trying to do with my art. It's like the way we relate to one another
Mhm.
isn't really portrayed properly on TV. The only time you see black men relating is with conflict,
Yeah.
and nobody really gets at what the conflict is about. And it's really just the desire to love one another. Like we just
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to love one another without shrinking each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I took to it like I just want to love him. I want to be respected by him, and I want him to love me, and I want to make him proud, but I don't want to be small about how I go about doing it because
Mhm.
he doesn't recognize that. You know what I mean? So difficulty in the material was we were talking about all this business, but up underneath it was like, yo, but I'm good enough though. But because you're my dad and you giving me my tools and I'm gonna show you and I did all this stuff, you know, because I've had relationships with my father that wasn't great
Yeah.
and me and my son have a different kind of wonderful relationship, so I was able to see things a little differently. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if all I really wanted was for him to tell me that I was enough?
Mm, mm. I think
And
that's where I saw the depth. That's where I saw the depth in how you played that character.
thank you.
The way he, yeah, that's where I saw it. The way he related to his father and the way that he talked about his father.
Yeah,
And so those are some good scenes as well.
thank you.
So you and I, and it's funny, I keep saying that you and I go back to being Lion Brothers, but we knew each other in high school
Hundred
because
percent, bro.
yeah. So
100%.
Mike Jenkins, Bonnabel's finest, Bonnabel
Yes.
High School's finest.
Oh, yeah, man. You know what? I was just telling somebody. I was like, I remember the first time I saw you get down. I think it was a Soldiers play. I can't remember, but in an oratory at high school, and I was like, that boy is good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so and then we go to the same university and then end up on the same line, and I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's what I
You know
thought.
what I mean? Like
I,
you guys actually made me get serious about it. Like
wow.
we were at Bonnabel. I told my mans, I was like, listen, all the girls are on the speech and debate team. Let's get on speech and debate team and
Wait, you
let's
and Larry?
trouble.
Was that the
Yeah,
conversation you and Larry had?
yes.
That is hilarious.
Yes, and then I realized the girls don't really like you if you lose. They don't even talk to you. No conversation unless you like place it. And I was like, oh my God. And then I slipped in a few rooms to see just how it was, the level of play that was in there. And man, you were really, people really don't know how well you can get down. Like, so to hear you speak well of my work when I know you know what you're talking about, Tony Molina and your whole crew, like
Yeah, man.
y'all was some, well, y'all basically won all the tournaments you could possibly have.
We
Just
tried. We did
wiping
our
us
level
out.
best to win as many as we
I think
could.
it was personal because you guys wasn't giving nobody no breaks. I, but I love that because
Yeah. Yeah.
because it really refocused my whole game. It's like, bro, people aren't playing at this thing. They're trying to create an impact. They're trying to make an impact, and they're trying to ground that thing down to the white meat. So if you're not serious,
Yeah.
and that kind of started it. Like I started early with my mom, watching her because she was a speech and debate coach when I was like 4.
I did
And
not know that.
yeah, I used to sit in the living room and
Oh,
watch all these guys go
man.
down. Yeah, and then
Okay.
we go. Tickets come home to roost. So at some point, I was going to come back to it,
Yeah.
and, and I did, and you know, it lit then. And then we got in college, and my dad was a big. You do your thing, and then you can do what you want, but you do your thing first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to do my thing in Loyola,
Yeah.
and then the day I graduated, I'm like, there go the thing.
Yeah.
Now can I go do my thing? And he's like, go do your thing. And that's how it all took off from there.
Man. So when did you know that when did you know that you were gonna do acting? When did it hit you that this is gonna be it? And what kinds of roles did you see yourself doing?
Well, funny thing, you did a soldier's play. I saw you do it, and you smashed it.
No, I
Then
didn't.
the
I
next,
didn't do it. I didn't do a soldier's
no,
play. You're thinking about Albert Hamilton and Malcolm
yes.
Gibson.
What did you
But
do?
oh man, what
Can I
did I
help you?
do? I did with it was Jeff and I, Jeffrey May and
Yes.
I.
Yes.
I can't remember what we did.
Hmm.
We did like
Was
a
it Tom?
comedy piece. No, no,
No.
it was some other piece, and we accidentally
Yeah.
made it a comedy piece once, but it
Yeah.
was it was some other piece.
So good, bro. It's so good.
Thank you, man.
Because we were all in that same, like, they were just bringing them up one, two, three at a time. And I remember walking out going, okay, I need to find material that I can relate to because
Hmm.
this is what they're doing. They're like finding material that inspires them and then they're gutting it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
So the first time I really, really got like that thing was the net after y'all just murdered us. Me and Larry went back to the lab and I'm like, we got like 4 weeks before the next tournament, and I'm not playing around with this bad material. Like, let's just find something we get into. And To Kill a Mockingbird came through. Like
Oh
we
wow.
were playing with that, yeah. And man, we got in that first room and put it down, and then they were like telling you who was moving on, and the minute that we let that thing loose, and then I backed out of it, and then I got affirmed by it. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
I don't I don't know if you can pay me enough money to make me feel this good right now.
Mm. Mm.
So at that point, I knew that like money wasn't what was driving me. It was like I felt what we were doing deeply. I
Yeah.
could tell the people in the room were being impacted by what we were doing deeply, and then they affirmed it by like moving us forward. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want
Mm.
to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know what? I do remember. I remember when y'all switched to Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we were just like, oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. In fact, your school is the reason we switched. We were doing a soldier story, and then them boys came in and did it, and I was like, yeah, we're not doing that no more. We're gonna do we're not doing that. Not doing that against those dudes. We're not going into comedy swim over there with those dudes. So let's find some like not no, we just wasn't, our we was just getting started over there. We weren't
Yeah.
y'all had come in there with y'all big chest of work. I'm like, oh God. These
but what
guys
he
are ready, ready. Get
was
ready, but they ready, ready.
but you know one of our nicknames was one of the nicknames for St. Aug was Langston Hughes High School because when we did prose poetry, it
Oh
was
my
almost always Langston Hughes.
and you almost won every time you did it. The orators y'all had locked up, pro sports y'all locked up. Debate y'all were just complicated. And they had it was just it got real serious. And I'm a super competitor, but man, you guys, it was good to see that many African American men that focused.
Yeah.
I had never seen that except for on
Yeah.
a football field or in a basketball game, like that competitively locked in. And it
That
was,
is such man, that is such a good point. And I'm gonna tell you why that's such a good point in just a second. But I
right?
have to tell you, here's the thing that was really funny. The funny thing was to watch the flow of young black men doing speech and debate and
Yep.
then becoming members of Alpha Phi Alpha. So there were you and I. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is that I remember when I saw you at that first meeting and I called like Rory Verrett or
Oh, I
somebody.
remember Rory. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I was just like, "Yo, man," I was like, "Guess who was just in the Alpha Interest meeting with me?" And I was like, "Mykel Jenkins," and they're like, "Who?" "Mykel Jenkins from Bonnabel. He did a Soldiers Play with your boy," and they were like, "Nah." And so there was that, and then I don't know if you ever met Carl Martin from St. Thomas More.
Yes.
You did. You met Carl. And the funniest thing, and if you don't know who Carl Martin is, if you're listening to this or watching this, Carl Martin was the lead singer of Shy. Okay. So the funny thing is that I'm in Lafayette for at the time, the USL Greek show. And no, we were in Lafayette, I think. I think we all might
Yes.
have been in Lafayette together, a
Yes.
bunch of us. And
Yes.
I'll never forget Carl Martin pulled up alongside of me and he was hanging out the window of a car because somebody else was driving. And he goes, Eddie, when you becoming alpha? And I was just like, yo, man, I was like, Carl, I just became one. I'm at Loyola, blah, 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 blah. And then Rory was at Howard.
Yeah.
Rory is like, Ed, Carl Martin just became, he just became an alpha. And Rory had not become an alpha yet. And so he's telling me that Carl became an alpha. A few years later, Mike, I'm walking on Canal Street. I'm passing
No,
Odyssey Records. I'm looking at this album cover in the window of Shy, and I was like, that's Carl Martin.
that's crazy.
I was like, Big Lip Carl is on the cover of this doggone album. Who's this Shay? Shy? What are they called? It was the funniest thing, man. So I
Wow.
mean, it was crazy because as Rory became a brother, Jeffrey May, who was my partner, he became a brother. And I know I'm leaving out like 2 or 3 other cats, including from other schools, by the way, who all
Yeah.
became brothers. It was the funniest thing to me, man.
We have the same things in common. Like we want to be well read. We want to be community service oriented. We want to be known for our intelligence and our excellence and our pursuit. I
Hmm.
mean, anybody in that group, what like it just lined up. Like if you
Yeah,
really think about what we're known for as far as outfits, like it just lined up.
yeah, it
One of the things
did.
I'm very proud of. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You're listening to For Our Edification. I'm Eddie Francis, and I am hanging out with Mykel Shannon Jenkins,
What's up?
um, writer, actor, director, and mostly, most importantly to me, one of my line brothers.
Speak on it,
And
man.
initiated Rho Epsilon chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in the spring of '89, March 10th,
Yes.
1989. Um, so early on, so I know you know this. We had this running joke about you in a chapter that
Okay.
you were bound to become an actor. Like that was the running joke about you. When we were initiated, the brothers they would joke with me all the time. They're like, "Yeah, your LB is definitely going to be an actor. Is that what he wants to be?" I'm like, "Yeah, he was like, yeah, well, he's dramatic, so it's definitely going to happen."
I
But
didn't know that, but I was definitely dramatic, so I can respect it. That's dope.
yes, man, yes.
That's
early
dope.
on, how deep was your belief that you would get television and film roles?
That's funny. The one thing I loved about speech and debate was that what television and film wasn't my first exposure to it.
Hmm.
So I never thought about fame. I never thought about recognition. I never really thought
Wow.
about
Yeah.
fame, glamour. I was like, I need to be in a position to tell these things that I want to be able to express these things I feel in a way that can can cleanse me and help
Mm-hmm.
others. And that's my goal. Growing up in the South, you learn that it's like it's a lot not right. and
Mm-hmm.
I think that people can't see it. You know, you get caught up in
Yeah.
it, and you can't see it, so you can't change it.
Yeah.
So maybe I could. So my whole thing was like, maybe I could put myself in a position where um, I could tell the kind of stories that would impact change and get
Hmm.
people to kind of see the ridiculousness of some of the stuff that just keeps being repeated. And
Mm.
I figured out early I can write, and therefore I never thought about them stopping me from getting things. I've
Mm-hmm.
always felt like, so, well, my dad, as my dad used to say, they got a brain and so do I. Like, you want to write
Mm.
something, I can write too. You want to produce, I can produce. You want to, you want roles that reach inside of you and open up a different kind of understanding for people, then you may just have to write it in
Yeah.
order for you to do it. You know what I mean? So like that freedom, it's funny how when you're not desperate,
Mm-hmm.
when you don't walk around trying to wait for the world to affirm you, and you
Mm-hmm.
affirm yourself, and you're surrounded by a bunch of men who, that was another thing where Alpha was really strong in, like that intermental strength. Like that's what Legend was about. It was like you cross the line and you don't know who you are, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it right. You cross
Yeah.
the line, you're sure who you are. You know exactly who you are. You know you're unbreakable. You know you're unfadable. Like you know these things. So now it's like, and you know how to work because you know how to work with nothing in your stomach. You know how to work. So like and
Yeah.
get things done with a group of people. You know what I mean? That have the same goal in mind. So real quick, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna be. I'm not gonna be waiting on phone calls. I'm gonna attack this thing with a like fiery fervor. So with that comes people who believe in you. Like you believe in yourself, then they start believing in you, and then all of a sudden you get these opportunities to show people exactly what you can do. And I know one thing: when you go to a space and you've been around, like you go to an alpha convention, you're around a lot of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn real quickly how unique you are. Like
Yeah.
no matter how many you run into, you're like, I'm me. Like, and I'm me in a space where everybody's them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you know that, then it's like I don't care who you're reading against. It's like special sauce is special sauce, and there's only one special sauce when it's poured out my bottle. So it is what it is. And I go in
Mm-hmm.
there and I just drop that sauce on them. And if they like it on their burger, then we go to picnic. And if they don't like it, I go on the street, try to find somebody else who like barbecue sauce. I don't know. But they definitely don't get me changing my flavor of the sauce. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a constantly trying to refine it, making it a little tangier, giving it life adds spice, but it's mine. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all I really want to do when I get these opportunities. Is like you said, you watching Paper Tigers? Oh, you gonna see me. You watching Gunner? You gonna see my heart. Now he got his circumstances, but you gonna see the kid. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be me, and then we're gonna figure the rest of it out because that's what I start with. It's like
Mm-hmm.
even if I'm metamorphosing into some kind of character, I still want my heart in him. So like
Yeah.
I give him
Yeah.
that life, and I give him those circumstances. I put his mind in the right place, but he's gonna get my heart.
Yeah. You know, we hear this all the time, especially among black actors. And one of my favorite movies is Hollywood Shuffle because, dude, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go the same route. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to
Mm,
go into acting, like really, really go into it. And I watched Hollywood Shuffle, and I was like, I don't know, it may not be for me because if this is what black actors have to deal with, I don't know if that's what I'm willing to do. If you know,
mm.
that and the movie, the reason I love that movie so much, it was such a wake up call for me. And it was funny as hell. Um, but
Stupidly
I
funny.
mean, we hear black actors talk about this all the time. You know, looking at a role and saying, I can't do this because
Yeah,
this is not reaching me where I live. This is not my soul.
under
Besides the whole, it's stupid thing, and I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna subject myself to being a buffoon or whatever. You hear a
very
lot of
real.
black actors say that sort of thing.
Yes.
So is it difficult for you when your agent hands you something, sends you a script or something, and you look at it and you go, I'm not doing this. I mean, is it difficult for you to walk away from that?
No, because I've made the mistake of doing it
Really?
and then seeing it and going, "Wow."
Oh, it does that
Like,
does that hit you when you see that final
"Oh,
product?
yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, it's real," and then they got it. So, like, you can't even be like, "No, take that down. Can I buy it back from you?" No, it's very real, and I got first thing I thought about was my son can't see this.
Yeah,
Like, I can't even explain myself out of this madness.
yeah.
Yeah. So, once the good fortune I had with that, and I guess God was just looking out, was they didn't have enough money to, like, promote it and, like, really get it to so people could see. So it kinda went away.
Oh, good. Congrats, because
And I
that
will
doesn't
never
happen for
I will never
everybody.
speak the title of it in life. You'll never hear it from me. But I knew once I watched that, I was like, "Never again when
Yeah.
somebody offer me some money and I go, Imma make this better when I know what it is,
Mhm.
and then do it." Because
Yeah.
once you've done it, that money never crosses your mind. It's just
Mm.
like you gotta explain yourself out of it every single time somebody sees it. You gotta start the conversation with, "That's not really what I do, and, it's not really I know it's inauthentic, but that's not really what I'm striving for." It just is a complete and then I had no fun doing it. Like, there was no
Mm.
fun. The only thing that was fun was when they called me and said they wanted me, and I was like, "Yes, they want me
Yeah.
to be a buffoon," to be that's what it is. Yes, they want me, but you gotta finish it to do this. So
Mm.
now it's super easy. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've said no. I can't tell you how many times, like, people have tried to tell me, um, it's he's a little too intelligent, but I love what you're doing, but he's a
Mm.
little too educated. There's any way you could I would just sit in the room and try to make him say it. It's like, "What do you want me to do?" Um, "No, I don't really have a clue."
Mm.
'Cause they don't wanna say, "Dumb 'em down."
Right.
They don't because then they look like they look. So they just be like, um, less educated. And I was like, "Well, how far? How" well, I
it's, like, it's like, how far are we bringing this down?
yeah, how far are we going down with it? And then then I don't do it. So, like, I have lost quite a few roles being
Mm.
this way, but I know this. We need no more buffoons. We've had plenty of those.
Yeah.
Um, what we need is more teachers. And
Mm. Mm.
and
Mhm.
I'm if you've seen any of my films, I'm just addicted to suits. I'm addicted to a certain level of education that I'm playing with these guys
Mhm.
because Sidney Poitier was like that's
Mm.
the that's you know I grew up with Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart and like these guys they put suits on, man. There was a certain
Mhm.
level of intelligence to everything they did, even if they were playing ship, labor workers. And I just thought to myself, I can be the thought that an everyday black man isn't well read
Mhm.
is not true. We may
Mhm.
not be school educated, but all the black men I've encountered of exceptional taste were well
Mhm.
read.
Mhm.
And those are the guys, they existed in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. They existed all through slavery. Like, everybody has this idea about Southern black men,
Mhm.
and I'm out to expand that thing. I'm out to
Mhm.
widen it,
Mhm.
period.
I was told the same thing in radio, that I sounded too
Mhm.
educated. I was told the same thing. It was it
Yeah,
was the
that
it was the late '90s. I was in hip hop radio,
Yep.
and it was like, you sound too educated, man. You need to dumb it down a little
Oh,
bit. And I was like, I don't know what those words mean. Like I don't dumb it down. I can't
right.
relate. That's not happening. I mean, you're
True.
gonna get me. I'm gonna be who I am.
Yeah.
And that is not who I am, and I refuse to go
Mm,
back. And it's just like your heroes with the Humphrey Bogarts and or Sidney Poitier, and then you got Denzel and Morgan Freeman and all those folks. For me, in broadcasting, it was watching people like Ed Bradley on 60
mm.
Minutes. Right? It was like super cool Ed Bradley with the earring, with the stud in his
Straight,
ear, doing 60 Minutes,
straight, straight,
and then just handling his interviews and stories like a boss. I was like, yo, that
straight
that I
boss.
want to do that.
I can
Like that
understand that, brother.
that's how I want to roll, right? And then it was him, and then here locally it was Warren Bell doing news,
Mhm.
seeing this black man doing news, and then I would hear these guys on radio who just sounded regal and that sort of thing, and I'm going, I don't know, I'm not, yo, that's not me. That is not me. And it's funny, I've been told that more than once. I've been
Mm.
told more than once, oh, Eddie, I think you sound a little too educated, you're a little too smart for this. And so, like you, I'm sitting here going, well, who's gonna stand up for educated black men? Like
100%.
who is gonna do that if everybody is trying to tell us we need to take it down and dial it down? And that was, I mean, I was insulted. I was just like, yo, no,
100,
no, no.
100%. In fact, I take it to another level. I have a disdain for people who do it,
Hmm.
and they're
Yeah.
half the problem because as they're doing it, other people think you will do it, and then
Hmm.
and they're like, but he did it, and I'm like, well, you should go and get him because I'm sure he'll do it again. I'm not doing it. I'm
It's
not
like,
ever doing
yeah.
that. And anybody that knows you, like, dumb it down, Eddie Francis, Augusta, no, wrong guy. Like, not never happening. Luckily, they didn't get the fire from you because we all know you got some fire.
It kind of happened at some point. It kind of happened. It was,
Okay, good, because you got some fire, brother.
yeah, it was off the air, a little behind the scenes.
Okay, that's where it should be. But every now and then you can burn somebody. Got light them up. Let them
Man,
know, and they stop
it,
asking you.
exactly, man. So, you hear people all the time talk about someone being a working actor or, working musician or something like that. What
Hmm.
is the day in the life like for somebody who is a working actor? And for you, how does that kind of work, the activity, the grind, how does that add to who you are?
Well, the beauty of acting is that actors act. They don't act for TV. They don't act for theater. They don't act for film. They act like, and so I realized very quickly I needed to build a group of people like we did in speech and debate who just got together every Monday and worked on something called a
Mm,
workshop. Just get in and get at it. And so I've been doing that for about 25 years. Like Monday nights, 6 to 10 at the crib, we shut it down up in here. Like you want to bring somebody, we just go to work. We workshop work. You know what I mean? So like for me, that keeps me from being like desperate and like needing
mm,
to
mhm.
impress myself. Because every Monday night there's opportunities for you to work on material, put it up, this, that. I'm all about that. Like actors act. And to be a working actor is to do exactly what you just said. Work at acting. Work at it.
Mhm.
Work at your craft. But the beauty of acting and being a working actor is that could be going to the movies. Because I watch movies differently than people. I watch
Yeah.
movies to discover, you know, to be taught. Like
Mhm.
I really break. I go in to be taken and then learn. Like so, like watching my children, watching enemies, watching friends, going to the mall and watching people, watching the guy up the street with a few mental issues, watching the guy down the block with some money issues.
Mhm.
Like I've just turned my life into this constant observatory where I'm just getting fed. I can't go to the airport without like studying someone smoking a cigarette. I've never
Yeah.
smoked,
Yeah.
but I now know how to. You know what I mean? Like just the enjoyment they have when that thing is in their mouth, and it's just like things you would never think about if you got a script and they said he smoked, and I'm like, what makes a smoker smoke? Like that kind of stuff. So like for me, the beauty of being a working actor is that I'm always acting in some capacity toward I'm always working at some capacity toward that next opportunity,
Mhm.
whether I'm
Mhm.
writing it myself for myself or somebody in this universe has decided they want me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So the only way you can continue at it is for it to be something that's really driving you. If you're looking for fame and glory and that and this, you're in trouble because that will
Mm.
fade and burn out very quickly. It will exhaust you because you have to stay physically. They need you to look like the unedited picture.
Yeah.
You can't. You so like your everyday choices got to be on point. Your gym work got to be on point. Your
Mhm.
mind work got to be on point. Your emotional availability has to be on point, and these things have to
Mm.
be worked at constantly. Your musical flow and ability to move your body has to be on point. Like you have to just be ready to metamorphosize into whatever, or you're limiting your opportunities. So like it's a constant decision making process that interferes in every aspect of your life because if you don't, then the opportunities with every bad decision you cut off. So like
Mm.
I want them all. So I try to stay really locked in. Some
Mhm.
people may call it self-centered, but if I'm not at the center of it, how am I supposed to,
Mm.
you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So sometimes you have to be self-centered so you can around you help those.
Mhm.
Like if I'm not self-centered, I'm not producing films, putting 40 people to work, employing them and sagging them in movies I've produced, I paid for, I wrote, I written, I found the locations, I cast it. Like I've one of the greatest honors of my life is how many people I've carded
Hmm. Oh, wow.
because that 10 voucher thing was just a thing to keep you from ever becoming anything. So
Mhm.
you play the game, you understand, you got the money, you got the idea, it's been sagged up, you're able to ensure and paying people's pensions, and I can hire people, they sag,
Mhm.
just like that. And now, because you had more than 5 lines in a real SAG project, blah, and now they get that card, bro. And like
Mhm.
whatever they do with it, they do it.
Yeah.
But to be
Yeah.
part of that opportunity, David Talbot taught me that. I was on a play that was touring all over the world. Love on Layaway. I played this character Khalif. Shout out to David Talbot. And I was sitting back. He had like we were just traveling all over the world, filling up these theaters, and he had like 75 people on staff. And I took a step back and looked at all these people. He was standing off to the side, and I have a personal relationship with him, so I was able to just walk up to him and talk to him. And it just hit me how powerful this is. And he's like, "What?" I said, "You're feeding 75 families."
Mm. Mhm.
And he said, "Hmm." And he smiled and walked away. And I thought to myself, wow, wow. Like this
Yeah.
man is feeding 75 families, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. So once I saw that, I was like, I want to hire people. I
Hmm.
want to pay
Yeah.
them. I love paying actors
Yeah.
because they, it when you get paid for something, because we do it for free. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
we do all this for free. But man, when you get paid for something,
Oh, yeah.
man, that feels pretty good, man. And then when you get paid what you think you're worth,
Yes. Yes. That is jackpot. Like,
take
it's
a
like
brother to Forest Lawn. I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go. I got and I got. So let me go. So that right there keeps it burning, bro. Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
if I can say anything to everybody out here trying to get that, because people talk about everybody wants to talk about how you got burnt out. Let me tell you something. You give everything you got, They got a whole group of people you've never met that are watching that are
Mhm.
writing things for you had no idea, that are insisting on seeing you, and all you got to do is stay in pocket. Like all you got to do is keep doing what you've been doing, so that
Mhm.
when they get to you, you look like who they wrote the role for. And now
Mm.
it's go time. You
Mm.
know what I mean? It's like people don't realize how much is happening that you got nothing to do with, because your energy is in this in a very positive way. When you're
Yeah.
doing that, it just works. It works. You gotta be patient, and you gotta be diligent, and you gotta be dutiful, and you gotta be resilient, and you gotta be unbreakable. You gotta be all the things you gotta be to cross the burning sand.
Mike, which one of those do you see that's the hardest for a lot of actors, especially ones who are just coming into the business or young ones? Is it the
Patience,
patience? The what?
patience,
The patience is
patience.
the hardest one?
Yeah, because they're all entitled. Like this damn Instagram has got people crazy. Like so, like they just think they can just listen. I know your family finds you funny, but to go in a room and take somebody else's words that
Mm.
they've been spending 10 years
Yep.
crafting this script, you don't get to pull out your old go-tos. Like this is their script. You got it's the Bible. To do that, this is speech and debate. Like you don't get to play with the classics and move the
Right.
words around. You've got to. This is a classic. It don't need your
Mhm.
help. You got to do the work. So when you don't have that background, I mean, they dock you in the competitions in high school. You not using. You start playing around with words. These
Mhm.
people wanna, they wanna. Well, I say it better if I do this. Nobody ain't worried about how you saying it, brother.
Mm-mm.
Ain't nobody
Mm-mm.
worried about that.
We're not
Not
doing
that,
that.
that no, no, no. That's your pep. That's at home. That's
Well,
not a home.
because it was written that way for a reason.
It's written that way for a reason, and your job is to find the reason.
Yes.
You
Yes.
you ain't gonna learn that on Instagram. You're gonna have to learn that in a scene study class. You're gonna have to get into it and start studying it. There's rhythms to this thing. There's a dynamic pentameter to this thing. You got to know what the hell you're talking about. You got to understand what the words mean, the definition of the word. These guys have spent a long time
Mhm.
writing this script that you got yesterday, and in 24 hours, you don't get to change the words so that you can go in there and sound like you know what you're doing. They're appalled by that. There is a line supervisor. They pay him. He has a house. If they didn't need a line supervisor, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
people think they're entitled to things for things to happen very quickly. And when they
Mhm.
don't, and then, then they get on, no disrespect to fans only, or what is it? Members only. What is it called?
OnlyFans.
Only fan. Hey, listen, come on there, dog. Then you get your OnlyFans thing going. And
Well, we know
you
where
know where
you are
that
not.
and you know where that's gonna get you. So like patience, man. You know how many things I've missed out on being patient and got on the back end because I
Mm.
was patient?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I
Yeah.
liked about pledging too. We never knew when it was gonna end.
No.
'Cause you just in, like, and you didn't worry about it neither. You got through the day, you got through the moment, you got through the situation, and then there were more situations. But what you find is if you stay true, it
Mhm.
will end. You will become an ape, and
Mhm.
then you will cross, and then you will be an alpha, and nobody can take that away from you.
No, no. And
And that
I really love the fact that you have held dear those moments in high school with speech and debate, and excuse me, you've also held dear that time that we were pledging because, you know, my wife is Greek, and there are times when we're
and my wife
talking,
is
yeah, and there are times we're talking, I'm like, what did this person forget why they did this, and did they forget? I mean, hey, listen. Everybody's thing is everybody's thing. Every chapter's thing is every chapter's thing. I get it. We
for
things have
sure.
changed. I get that part too. But at the at the at the foundation of all of it is learning to work together, and also being able to hold on to your spirit. Being
Yes,
able to endure
Yes,
and then don't abandon who you are in the process. I mean, we all go through the knucklehead stage. We cross and we're neophytes and we're knuckleheads, and
yes,
you
sir.
know we're waiting for all the women to run up to us, the ladies are running up, run for the dudes, and everybody's waiting for
Hallelujah.
everybody to run up, right?
I
And
don't
so
know what
everybody,
you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, everybody's waiting for everybody to worship him in their letters. We go through that knucklehead stage, but when you come back and you
Yeah.
realize that you did this for a noble reason, hopefully,
Mhm.
then it is I love the fact that I love the fact that you fall back on that, and then you
100%.
use that you use that to push you forward, not just in your career, but it sounds like in life.
100%.
You use it to push forward. I you know
Yeah.
I it was really one of the conversations I really enjoyed. I interviewed him in radio a long time ago, and I actually replayed this interview on a podcast. Lance Nichols.
Mm.
um so Lance is so cool. I love Lance. I love him. And one of the things that Lance and I talked about was, we talked about the kinds of odd jobs he was doing on his way up. And the thing that I loved about listening to him talk about is that he wasn't angry about them. Like, he talked
No.
about having to do, he talked about having to do telemarketing while he was working on his craft. He talked about having to drive a taxi, and he talked about how much he loved driving a taxi. But he didn't. He has no regrets. And
Rats.
so, how important is that when you talk to, because I at this point in your career, I imagine that you're talking to a lot of young actors, and you're trying to help them get their game together. How important is it for them to understand that you may not want to take that job as a server at the restaurant? You may not want to do the telemarketing job, but it's just part of the journey.
Here's what's funny. I tell people all the time, um, how the hell you gonna be a director? You can't even direct yourself to doing the things you need to do, put yourself in a position to direct. Maybe you need to direct your life. Like God has given you 1,000 scenes, you're off on all of them. Why would he then give you a picture to direct? You
Oh
wanna
man, yeah.
you wanna act. I waited tables. I would be like, okay, I'm about to put an act on. I'm gonna be Jamaican over here. I'm gonna be this over there. This. I'm gonna be a whole bunch of dudes. And if they like me, my tip's gonna be good. And if they don't like me,
Mm.
and I need to do more work on the character, my tip's not gonna be good. And if you just take the opportunities life gives you, you want to produce, then produce a life that permits you to act. Produce
Yeah.
a space where you can actually work on the craft. Produce money to why you keep getting evicted. You can't produce enough money to pay your mortgage. How are you gonna produce enough money to put a film together? Like all these, life is but a big motion picture. You know
Mm-hmm.
how good you are based on how it's going. So like I
Hmm.
tell people all the time, of course you didn't like the job because you didn't realize it was preparing you for this job. You
Wow.
thought that job was waiting tape. And I'm reminded of the thing with Sidney Poitier, which really, once I heard, it changed my life. He said he was just looking for a job before he got in acting, and he was a dishwasher. And he looked in the papers you used to look for like wanted people wanted, and it said
Mm-hmm.
actors wanted. So he's looking for a job. He goes over. He the dude brings him in the room, and he gives him something to read, and he's horrible. And the man said, "What are you doing here? Like this is not a joke. You obviously are not an actor. You must be a dishwasher.
Hmm.
So go wash some dishes." And threw him out. He said, the man told him, "You'll never be an actor. You're a dishwasher."
Hmm.
He said, "How did," and this is what was funny about what he said that I thought was brilliant. He said, "It didn't bother me as much that he said I wasn't going to be an actor. What bothered me was that he knew I was a dishwasher.
Wow.
Is he knew I was a dishwasher. And that right there hit his switch,
Mm-hmm.
and then he
Mm-hmm.
got busy. I'm gonna show you what I'm never gonna be. I tell you what I'm never gonna be again, and that's a damn dishwasher. And that's a man who understands what you're doing doesn't define you. It's it's part of what's creating you.
Mm-hmm.
Your job may be the lead character in Beef. You might have he need to know how to wash dishes. You might need to know how to cook in a restaurant. You might need to know how to like man, the horse riding and all the things I did when I was young that comes into play now that you didn't think would. Any movie about pledging, it's like secondhand. Like all these other guys got to go look up stomp and all stomp the yard and all this.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. I still got some, I still got stuff. So like, it's just what people should realize, and I share this with all of them. It's like he's trying to get you ready for the thing that's your thing, and you're not passing class. When you
Mm-hmm.
get the thing, you're gonna have bad grades, and they're gonna choose somebody else who took it much more seriously. Like if I'm waiting tables, there's something to it. Be the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm washing cars, nobody's better than me at washing. Man,
Mm-hmm.
let's just think about the roles you enjoy and what their occupations were. And you'll see, I mean, Scarface was a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what it is to be fed up in that
Yeah.
hot box. To and if you've never washed a dish, you can't get past that scene. Like it's just
Mm.
like once they start to apply that thinking to it, it's like, oh, I'm taking tickets at a movie theater. I'm the first
Mm-hmm.
person that greets these people who are
Mm-hmm.
excited, and I'm the first person that greets them when they leave, and they either are overly happy or not. And I can take a lot from that experience. Like, what you like
Mm-hmm.
about it? They could be preparing you to write your next script. What didn't you like? It's like your own focus group if you're
Hmm.
listening.
Mm-hmm.
People,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people want, they naming lights and they want money.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you can get your name in lights and you can get some money.
Yeah.
You just may not like, man, do what you do because you would do it for nothing and people would
Yeah.
pay you. But if you
Yeah.
do what you do and you only do it for money, people are going to stop paying.
Mm. 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 So I always like to ask my guests this. This is always my final question.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that you are a skywriter
Mm-hmm.
and you get to go up in the sky and write any message that you want for the edification of the nation. What message is Mykel Shannon Jenkins writing?
We are the brothers. Okay, okay. And as you know, no,
We
we
do
do.
get paid.
No. I'm gonna write. It's a quote from Hemingway that I have in my bathroom,
Mhm.
and it says, "Before you act, listen. Before you react, think. Before you spend, earn. Before you criticize, wait. Before you pray, forgive. And before you quit, try."
Mm, I love it.
We gotta do it again, my friend. Next thing
Yeah.
I drop, I got a television series I wrote, directed, produced, and starred in. 4 episodes of it's already in the books about a basketball team that I coached my son for his first championship through. And as soon as we get this thing pumping, we got to do this thing again so that I can introduce it to the universe. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
It's really dope. It's a comedy too. This is what you're gonna like about it. You ain't never seen me quite like this, bruh. You ain't
Uh-oh.
never seen a guy quite like this. I took a little Eddie Francis and threw him in there. Oh yeah, I in my life in any capacity at any time, you can find yourself in the character I'm creating for sure.
Oh
So I
Lord.
can't wait for you to see it. Oh, you're gonna love him.
Oh
You're gonna love him.
Lord.
Oh yeah.